Good afternoon. Welcome back to the post-lunch session of the 10th Annual Regulators and Policymakers Retreat being organized by the IPPAI and Aviation Watch. And with me we have the honor, in fact, of hosting Ms. Lakshmi Venkatchalam. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you are the DG of the Directorate General of Shipping in India. And shipping being an activity where just about everything in trade that's coming into India will be coming on a ship. What are the challenges that you see that a regulatory role in this sector will have?
Well, one of the things that is probably not known to too many people is the nature of the shipping industry. It's one of the most internationalized industry that you can think of. And why do I say this? Because shipping assets are distributed all over the world. There are about 50,000 ships owned by individuals and companies all over the world. They are flagged or registered officially in different countries. So one of the things that was realized early on was that each country cannot have its own standards in terms of how ships operate and how ships go about their business. So interestingly, in shipping, we have an international regulator in the form of the International Maritime Organization. The mandate for this organization is really how to facilitate safe ships and clean oceans. And to this end, they mandate international standards, codes, practices, which are put together in what we call conventions. The International Maritime Organization has member states, and these are all member governments. They are not private individuals. So there are more than 160 member states who are members of the International Maritime Organization. India is also a member. The Indian government is represented in all the meetings of the International Maritime Organization. Now, what happens is that when countries together in that forum adopt a convention with regard to safety aspect or environmental aspects of shipping, they go back and translate it into domestic law. And it is the job of the shipping regulator, namely myself and my organization, to see that this law is strictly adhered to. So, as I said, the goal is safe ships, clean oceans, and today we also have to look into issues of security because the world is not a very safe place from that point of view. And so what we do is we see in the Maritime Administration, we ensure that the conventions to which India is party to is translated into domestic law and is strictly adhered to by the industry.
Ma'am, you talked about security. There has been a rise in threats from non-state actors, pirates, and likewise people who have in fact attempted to hijack and indeed hijacked shipping vessels, large shipping vessels, very sophisticated shipping vessels. Now, how do we see a way around this problem given that a huge amount of tonnage flows through the Indian Ocean and goes through the straits, either way, east and west of India?
Yes. Well, piracy is a very, very serious problem which is affecting the shipping industry today. And as I mentioned in my presentation, there were more than 130 attacks last year. Current year also, it is probably it's quite high. And the problem is that we don't have a stable and a sustainable governance set up in Somalia. There is something called transitional government. It's a country in deep trouble, and the pirates have been increasingly adopting more and more skillful ways of attacking ships. They demand huge ransoms, which are settled through very sophisticated negotiating methods. It is understood that more than $250 million was paid last year as ransom for various attacks and hijacks of ships. Now, how is India affected? India is affected because a lot of the seafarers operating in these ships are Indian. We are a great contributor to the human resources in the maritime industry globally. We don't produce manpower for our own ships, but we also produce manpower who go and get employed in foreign ships. So piracy hurts us in apart from the economic issues, where if trade if it creates blockades to trade, then there are essential goods coming into the Indian economy. There's a problem if the ship gets captured. And also, when the ship gets captured, if there are Indian seafarers, it's a humanitarian problem. So, what is the solution? The solution is the long-term solution is lasting peace in Somalia and a stable government. Until then, we have to take recourse to ways in which the pirate attacks can be thwarted, and that is now being done through a huge coordinated effort by several navies which are operating in the Gulf of Aden, including the Indian Navy, and the Indian Navy is providing sterling support in this area, not just to Indian flag ships but also to other flags. And basically the way they do it is that we coordinate a system by which the ships are escorted in a convoy which is led by the naval ships. So there is a deterrent for the pirates to attack ships, because they know that if they come too near, the naval ship will immediately send out its helicopters and attack the pirate boat. That being said, there is also the need for strengthening the legal frameworks, how to deal with these captured pirates. Today we don't have a stable legal framework, and that is also being worked out under the aegis of the United Nations. There is also a lot of regional cooperation efforts that are being attempted so that the sharing of information, assistance and so many other things within the African countries. So piracy is a problem that we have to live with, and we just have to use all the resources that we can command and hope for more and more meaningful international cooperation that will help us to stem this problem to the extent we can.